Our guest today is Jennifer James. She is one of my really good friends, and she has a very interesting story and background just as a fellow health science student, but as well as somebody who has a very interesting outlook on health and life due to a diagnosis that she received a couple years ago. So she's going to give you a little intro about who she is and her story.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer, and my story starts in 2019 when I was in college and everything was super great and I was having just the time of my life. And then COVID hit in 2020, and that's when I started getting really serious about working out and being super disciplined with my workout schedule, where I was running as soon as I woke up in the morning, and then I was doing HIIT workouts in the afternoon, and it was super fun. And I just really fell in love with exercise and fueling my body in the best way possible. And I felt like the healthiest version of myself. And then it was September 11th of 2020, and I started to feel really weird. I started to get a feeling like I had low blood sugar or something was going on that I hadn't felt before. And I thought that I had the feeling like I could pass out, but I had eaten and it didn't go away. And so I just wasn't sure what was going on with myself. And my mom initially took me to the pediatrician because I was only 19 years old at the time. And she decided we just try going there and seeing what our pediatrician says. And she basically told me like I she thought that I had something called orthostatic intolerance, but that didn't make too much sense to me because I didn't feel like when I was standing up my symptoms were happening. It just felt like randomly
Yeah.
throughout the day, and it didn't really come up in only when I was standing up. And she told me if you follow this checklist, in 2 weeks you should be fine and no big deal. And then she kind of started hinting at something called POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. But she said that was way more serious and that she didn't think that that was anything for me to worry about. But for now, just to start by doing simple things like laying down on the ground with my feet propped up on the wall to have blood flow circulation. As soon as I started to feel the pre pass out symptoms, or eating more salt, because I was working out so much, and I was uh, mostly a plant based diet, although I did have meat, but I was just so focused on what I was consuming and not having processed stuff. So I really didn't have much salt. So I had a water salt imbalance because I was drinking tons of water, but not
Right.
replenishing my electrolytes with my workouts. And so, and that was also in the summer. So it was I just went for
Super
so
tough.
long. Yeah, just running a lot and sweating a lot and just not replenishing myself. So looking back, I feel like that might have been the cause of all of this, energy imbalance within my body. But so that caused she basically was like, okay, maybe some salt and Pedialyte, and just being, if you're working out, drink lots of Gatorade and up your salt basically. And
Right.
she also recommended compression socks and things like that. But after 2 weeks, nothing changed. And at that point, my symptoms were so bad that the running stopped for me. I stopped running, and I did some workouts, but they were much harder, and my heart would race when I was doing them. And it just was like a switch went off when this all started. And then after 2 weeks, my mom was like, okay, well, let's just give it a little more time. So about a month later, my mom contacted her primary care physician at Emory, and he doesn't take new patients, but she was like, please, I'm begging you to see my daughter, because every time my
Mhm.
mom has an issue, he always seems to figure it out and it's no big deal. And so I went to his office and he basically started to say, like, most of it sounds like anxiety. Like, I don't think you really have much of an issue. Like, but I do want you to see a cardiologist and I want to get blood work done just to make sure. And so after I got blood work done, which I also got done at the pediatrician,
Hmm.
lots of blood work throughout this entire process, and everything has come back perfect. Like some of my
Crystal
levels are
clear.
yeah, extraordinary, and they're like, wow, like this is great. And it just doesn't ever add up. So like I just can't understand why I would have like this issue or face these symptoms when nothing seems to be aligning as to why I'm feeling a certain way.
Hmm.
And so I basically, he was just like, yeah, I think you just have anxiety. And then I was like, well, I've never been an anxious person unless like, I have like a big project coming up and I have to present, and then maybe I'll get nervous before, like right before, but never like an anxious person. So that didn't make sense to me because I felt like he was kind of misinterpreting what I was telling him and just kind of
Right.
writing it off as something that it wasn't.